Hello, welcome back to Cheesy Octopus Gaming. Dr. Jason here, and today I'm doing a video I've wanted to do for a very long time. So as you saw in the title, I'm reviewing polymorphs, grading them, giving them a tier list, and I know there's a lot of people who say, oh, there's actually people who use moon spells, who actually likes them. Me. When Celestia first came out and you could polymorph into Gobbler, Mander, all the other secret polymorphs, oh my god, I loved it so much. And me being an expert now, I'm going to share with you which the best ones are, which ones you should get yourself. So, stick around. So, as you can see, I've got both a stats grid up for you that I've compiled myself. I took the time. The way you read this is purple is God tier stat. That is super beneficial to the polymorph, and it's just overall a super cool feature. Green that's good, that's nice to have. Yellow it's a little bit of a benefit, but it could be situational, and it's only, it's really just a small bonus, nothing amazing. Red is just not good. So I've also got the spells up for you for the Gobbler. And this is the first one. You can get this at level 50. First off, right off the bat, God tier stat. 5,000 health at level 50? That's crazy. And to add on to that makes it even more God tier. Nothing does boost on it, and has 35% resist in every single school. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You'd stay alive for a very long time. Add on those tower shields. And healing spells? Oh my god. You could stay in a battle with Malistaire for days. I don't know why I picked Malistaire. The healing, that 400 for 2 pips, that can be done to anyone. So this is actually a pretty okay healer class for level 50. And just a miscellaneous thing about it, 90% stun resist. Hey, that's pretty nice. Celestia's when they start pulling off stuns pretty often. That's a nice feature to have. Okay, moving on to the Mander, which is level 50 polymorph. Its good stat is that nothing does boost on it. In turn, the bad stat is nothing. It doesn't have any resist to any schools. And considering this is a support polymorph, I don't see the reason why it has no resist. At the very least, it should have some balance resist, but it would be cool if it had resist in maybe every school, or even just Fire, Ice, Storm, boost, and Life, Myth, Death. That'd make this a little better. However, what's really cool is the charms that it has, the damage it can add. We have elemental, spiritual, traps, and blades, as well as balance blade. And you can see the spells listed right now. Power Blade still says the power pips. It actually is the plus 25% balance damage now. So this is really a good support polymorph if you aren't soloing. Okay, Cat Bandit. This was really good in Celestia. I use this all the time. I mained life, so I did absolutely no damage when Celestia came out because I only had Centaur and I didn't have any AoE. So what's good about this? The health is actually pretty good for a Storm at the time. Damage, only 20%. That's okay, we'll live with that. The crit, I remember Cat Bandit actually critting a lot, and I feel like with the new crit changes, 150 is pretty good for level 54. So I'd rely on getting that crit every time. Its killing range is pretty okay. As you look at the spells, we've got some pretty good spells. Tempest is what's really nice about this, because you can blade, trap, and then just Tempest as many times as you want with those last 4 turns, or maybe you can do 2 fairly powerful Tempests in your 6 turns as Cat Bandit. The charms, pretty good. You can also add a Storm Sweep in there. Well, actually, probably couldn't end in 6 turns, so Storm Sweep is actually kind of useless. But both the Storm Blade and Storm Trap make pretty good charms. Oh, the crazy people outside are shouting again. Okay, Treant, our first healer class if you don't consider Gobbler. Health is okay. Doesn't have any damage. Kill range is meh, but it's actually pretty okay kill range for a healing class. The healing range is pretty nice. You can do anything from Satyr to Dryad. Well, anything from Dryad to Dryad, really. So it's nice to have Dryad so you can heal every single turn of those 6 turns if you really want to. If you're soloing, it's not that useful for 6 turns, but if you're going as a team and you want to heal every single turn with your power pip that you get, that's pretty nice. Miscellaneous, it automatically has 25% outgoing healing, so again, this is more of a, what's the word for not solo? A not soloing character. This is Ninja Pig. The only notable thing to point out is it has a disadvantage as being a support with no resist. It has 9 spells that you would never want to use. Maybe Feint. But wow. Everyone basically already has Feint trained, so what's the point? Kingsisle, delete this polymorph, or redo it. Make it a myth Ninja Pig, because we have no myth polymorph, so get us one, please. Okay, Ice Colossus. This is an interesting one. Health is pretty good. Damage is phenomenal for an ice. Crit's okay. Downside is 40% boost from 2 different schools incoming. You don't really want that, especially because these two schools can put some damage in. God tier stat, however, 20% resist in all other schools besides Myth and Fire, and 80% resist in Ice itself. So I'd say that's worthy of God. A downside is because the damage is so good, only being able to do between 175 and 460, we don't really want to be in that, especially in Celestia, maybe going on to the Safaria, because we need to start thinking about Safaria with these polymorphs and the worlds before Azteca. This isn't really viable anymore. With the charms, it's so close. If they had some better attacking spells, this would be a very, very good polymorph. However, that kill range really just ruins it. In AoE, nice. One suggestion I'd have that could fix this is I think polymorphs should have a level appropriate sun enchantments and star spells. I think automatically all the attacking spells should be enchanted with, at the very least, strong. If that was the case, this would be one of the best polymorphs. Okay, Fire Elemental. This is a pretty okay one. Damage output, again, like the Colossus, 40% more crit. I wouldn't rely on that crit though. Downside is 40% Ice and Storm. Ice, but the Storm, again, you don't want incoming Storm boost. That could mean all of your health in one hit, especially if you're fighting 2 Storm mobs. It resists 80% fire, which is okay, but I didn't make it green, I only made it yellow because why would you polymorph into a fire polymorph if you're fighting fires? Kill range is green. I had initially had it purple because I thought Firestorm was an AoE, and that would have been a Scald that just did 370 more damage. I was sadly mistaken, it only attacks 1, but that attack is still good enough to put it in the green. I'm thinking that plus Flame Strike, plus Meteor, plus Heckhound, and Phoenix. These are all pretty good spells, maybe purple, but it's just lacking. If Firestorm had been attack all, it would have been great. Again, in Misk it says better Scald. That's not true whatsoever. Charms, just your basic ones, they're pretty good to go along with your damage output and Meteor Strike. Okay, Storm Elemental. Damage output 40, good. We got really good with the Fire, Ice, and Storm polymorphs, that damage. Crit, don't even think about it. Worthless. Boost, it's not as bad as the fire incoming boost, but The resist, 80% storm, I was tempted to put it in green because it's good to have storm resist. Again, though, why would you polymorph into a storm mob if you're fighting storms? So that's basically out of the park. Kill range is only okay, and it's only okay because it just has being storm behind it, the basic storm spells. Other than that, I don't really see the point. Maelstrom is better than Stormzilla, I want to say. So maybe it could go into green. However, no AoE really doesn't make it that good. And the charm, Stormblade, Storm Trap, you could easily Blade, Trap, or Blade, Trap, then attack 2 turns and do a fair bit of damage before you polymorph back into yourself. Now, Draconian. This is one I feel like more people know about, and they know it's good. The DP, however, is lacking, which is really upsetting. Just imagine if that DP could have been 40 like the other ones. That would have been really great. The crit is okay. I feel like you can rely on a crit happening, though. Boost. This isn't super bad, the 20% storm. However, it's enough to put it in the red. I have AoE on this, but that's not true. Maybe I saw Ignite and thought that was AoE, but that's not true. It just does Wildfire, I believe is the spell. So 550 plus a Wildfire, that's pretty good for 5 pips. So that's why that gave it a purple automatically. Firezilla. Better damage than Stormzilla and 1 less pip. That automatically gave it purple rating. Cursed Flame. 2 pips to do 160 and then do a plus 20% for next turn. That's actually viable. I don't like the spells when it costs like 3, 4 plus pips to do a little damage and then add on a trap. But 1 or 2 pips to do damage and add on a trap for your next attack, that's really viable in 6 turns. So all of the attacking spells minus Elephant are purple. Elephant's only yellow, green. And the charms are good on top of that. And I actually did some math. In your 6 turns, you can easily Blade, Trap, Firezilla, Blade, Trap, Firezilla, do at the very least 2,500. Not even considering that 15% damage it automatically has just from being itself. So this is a pretty good polymorph. So I realized my camera actually did die when I started talking about the level 88 polymorphs. So I'm gonna go quick with these because I'm a little tired at this point. So this is nice. 4,000 HP, pretty nice. 80% ice resist. Again, why would you polymorph ice if you're fighting ice? So irrelevant. But god tier stats for these shields and these blades. You can really buff yourself up and defend yourself in the 6 turns. Get your money's worth. Then by the time you're back, you have enough pips to do your strong attack, kill that boss. And all the while, even if you don't kill, you have frozen armor on. You have those shields. You are defended. Jaguar. I'm sort of going to describe it as a better Treant. The attacking spell Ritual Blade, I'd like to focus on. You can get your attacking in and your healing in at the same time. A downside is Brilliant Light. It'd be better to have Guiding Light. You have automatically 40% outgoing healing, so this is best in a team situation, but still really good for solo healing. And last but not least, because Ninja Pigs is least, we have the Pterodon, and it's a bit of a letdown, I'll be honest. No damage, no crit, which seeing that in the past we had polymorphs have outgoing damage automatically built into them, why don't we have it for this higher level when that damage is even more of necessity? You know, when you're in Azteca, you have enchants on your blades, on your traps, and on your spells. Why do I want to do just base damage? Even Leviathan 975, I can do more on my life with an enchant. This is actually best used as a support, I feel like. Okay, so my camera did die, so hello from hours later. So now, my favorite part, the tier list. I haven't thought about this ahead of time. I'm just going off of what I said of every single thing in the explanation. Oh, it's going to be much harder than I thought. And once I set them into place, it's not going to be final. So I apologize, one's out of view for you, I believe. So, let's start with Ice Colossus. So this is the one that was... It had some good damage built into it. And it has a blade and a trap, but the spells just aren't damage-based. However, that resist is nice. Now, solo ability? I mean, it has solo ability. However, I don't see the need to solo with this, if it would probably just be worse than your wizard. And I wouldn't see a need to really... If you want to play this as a tank, it's not really a good tank because it doesn't have any tower shield. So if you're playing as a storm and you say, oh, I need some time to absorb damage, there's no point. Unless you just want to absorb damage and do like very weak hits. So Jack of all trades, master of none. I'm going to say that's going to give it a B. Polymorph Storm Elemental. Let's think about this. It's like a lesser... I don't even want to give it that it's a lesser fire elemental. Because fire elemental is just significantly better than it. I think Storm Elemental may be C tier. Jaguar. Now, I've been thinking about this over the past 3 hours. And what's really nice about it is how you can attack and heal at the same time. I believe the spell's for 3 pips, maybe... No, it's 4 pips. You can attack and heal at the same time, which is a nice feature. Or you can choose to just heal. I'd say it's got 6 turns worth of playability. It's good if you are a attack-based school and you need some time to heal up. I'd say it's actually pretty okay. It's gonna earn it A tier. And Draconian. This is a good one. I think having Firezilla alone and being able to do Blade Trap Firezilla twice over, this, I think, is our first S tier. You can do over 2,000 damage in just 6 turns with this, right off the bat. You could play this first round and do that. You could probably, if you're fighting 2 enemies, go bam bam with that. So, easily an S tier, especially for the level that's actually a useful polymorph. Fire Elemental. As you remember, I thought its Scald equivalent was Attack All, and that took it down. If it had been Attack All, this would be S tier. However, it's only going to get A tier. Now, Polymorph Gobbler. Okay, the health, that's unique. The resist, that's really nice. But it only has Tower Shield. And it does have the healing. So I suppose you can get use out of it all 4 rounds. But every single spell but Tower Shield, but the healing spell, is actually worthless, in my opinion. I think I'll give it B. but there still is a time and a place to use this spell, especially if you're an attacking-based school like Storm. Polymorph Iceworm. Now, I actually use this still on my highest level for maybe even, well, if I'm fighting a boss, I'll use this when I'm fighting a boss, and I'll do my AoE first, and then turn into this before I focus on the boss, because I only want the boss's hits hitting me at once. So I'll take out the minion, and in those 6 turns, I can blade, I can trap, and I can shield myself for that big attack, and absorb, which is really useful. It can be a little time consuming and feel like you're just taking unnecessary precautions, but it's better to be on the side of safety with this. If you're soloing and you're not ice, this would be incredibly useful. I want to say S, but the fact that it doesn't resist every single school like the Gobbler does really doesn't make it that great. And it really pains me to say that. I think it's earned A tier with being able to be useful all 6 turns. But not S. It's so close to S. Mander, it's okay. You can get your 6 turns worth out of it. However, most of the spells that are useful, like elemental, spiritual, blades, and traps, cost 1 pip. So, you know, ideally, a lot of these polymorphs, if they're a support one, you're gaining power pips every single round. So when you finally change back, you're all bladed up, you're all shielded up, and you're ready to attack. This, you're done with your 6 rounds. You're bladed and shielded up, but you don't have enough pips to attack, so you have nothing to do for a couple turns. And that could be useful if you still have your own blades and traps that you want to put on. So, you know what, let's not knock it out of the park. But it's still obviously not as good as having all those pips available. With those pips, you could use a fairy on yourself if you're low on health. I'm going to give this B, because not having resist on anything for support, if you're taking that time to blade up, you really want to have resist. So, it's not that good. Oh, Pterodon. So upsetting. If you had damage, if you had enchants on your blades and traps, and your attacking spells, you had critical, then you would be viable to use. But as it is right now, you are unviable. I'm going to put you in C. The one thing I'll give you is Levy. But it's still not that great. So that's really the only thing keeping you from negative Z. Treant is... I kind of want to say it's like a lesser Jaguar. For the level, it's good, but it's just not quite at the level as Jaguar, so we're going to give it B. Polymorph Cat Bandit is good for its level. It's not ridiculously OP, but it's good. It can get you through a battle 90% of the time. I'd say that's deserving of A. Okay, so now that we've gone through the relevant ones, I want to say A and above are the only ones with actual realistic playability. I shouldn't say that. B and above have realistic playability for their level. S is, I would recommend actually getting that polymorph, unless you're a fire wizard. Then it might be kind of useless to you. And A, it can be beneficial and be helpful to have in your deck. B is really situational. It can fill a niche, but you may not need that niche filled. So if you're a support player as is, I don't ever really see a reason for you to touch these. But you know, it's up to you. And something we've noticed and we need to deal with is the Death Polymorph is awful, and there is no Myth Polymorph. There are 3 Ice Polymorphs, however. And we really don't want anything down here. And if Kingsisle could really make Moon School something that people used. And it's upsetting to see an entire school is just untouched, basically, by everyone. I would like to see every single one of these being used at least every once in a while. Sometimes you say, oh, I can't beat this boss. Let's try a polymorph out. At the very least that. And I think giving them pre-enchanted spells with, strong or level appropriate enchantment would be a really smart idea. That's a good place to start. And I think also maybe there's some wiggle room for a spell that polymorphs you back into yourself. You know, if you only want a polymorph to be playable for 3 turns, let's say that's all it has, well then maybe that's fair, considering you have to waste a turn to polymorph back and forth. I'd say that's a fair thing to be able to allow players to do. But if you watch this whole thing, wow, you're probably a nerd like me who uses polymorphs and wants to see them thrive. Next I'll probably do minions, and focusing more on the suggestions that I want to see to fix them and make them useful in day-to-day playing. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this, like and comment, and comment hashtag Moongang. Maybe if we start all using Moon, then Kingsisle will realize they have to fix them. And go to Twitter and tweet them to fix it. Thanks for watching.